When Wen-Tzu asked about the way, Lao-Tzu said, "If you don't study sincerely, you won't listen to the way deeply. Listening is to convey wisdom, to foster action, and to bring achievement and honor. If it is not sincere, it is not clear, not deep, not effective. So the highest learning involves listening with the spirit. Middling learning involves listening with the mind. Lower learning involves listening with the ear. The learning of those who listen with their ears is in the surface of their skin. The learning of those who listen with their minds is in their flesh and muscles. The learning of those who listen with their spirits is in their bones and marrow. So when you do not listen deeply to something, you do not know it clearly. When you do not know it clearly, then you cannot plumb its essence. And when you cannot plumb its essence, you cannot perfect its practice. The general principles for listening are to empty the mind so that it is clear and calm. Discount moods and don't be full of them. Have no thoughts and no rumination. Let the eyes not look at random. Let the ears not listen at random. Concentrate the vitality of the mind so that it builds up and the inner attention is fully consolidated. Once you have attained this, you must stabilize and preserve it and must extend and perpetuate it. The original production of the way has a beginning. It begins in weakness and develops into strength. Begins in slightness and develops into greatness. A gigantic tree begins as a sprout. A huge building starts at the bottom. This is the way of nature. Sages emulate this, lowering themselves with humility, withdrawing to put themselves last, minimizing themselves by frugality, and lessening themselves by detachment. Being lowly, they are honored. Withdrawing, they proceed. Being frugal, they are broad. By being lesser, they become great. This is accomplished by the way of nature. The way is the basis of virtue, the root of heaven, the door of fortune. All beings depend on it for life, growth, and stability. The way has no artifice and no form. Inwardly, it can be used to cultivate oneself. Outwardly, it can be used to govern humanity. When it is achieved in practice and established in fact, we are the neighbors of heaven. It is not contrived, but there is nothing it does not do. No one knows its state. No one knows its reality, but there is truth in it. When emperors have the way, all in their domains are obedient to them, and they maintain the land and its productivity for a long time. When local rulers have the way, their people live happily together and they do not lose their states. When the gentry and the masses have the way, they preserve themselves and protect their parents. When the strong and the great have the way, they are victorious without warring. When the small and the weak have the way, they are successful without contending. When undertakings have the way, their completion results in good fortune. When rulers and ministers have the way, they are faithful and benevolent. When parents and children have the way, they are kind and devoted. When gentry and peasantry have the way, they love one another. So when the way is harmony, without the way there is cruelty. So with the way there is harmony, without the way there is cruelty. From this point of view, the way is beneficial to people in everything. If the way is practiced a little bit of good fortune is obtained. If the way is practiced to a greater extent, the more good fortune is obtained. If the way were practiced to the fullest possible extent, the whole world would follow it, absorb it, and take it to heart. Therefore, emperors are those to whom everyone in the land resorts. Kings are those to whom everyone in the land goes. If everyone in the land does not resort to them and does not go to them, they cannot be called emperors or kings. Therefore, emperors and kings cannot be established without people. And even if they win people, if they lose the way, they cannot keep them. Examples of losing the way are extravagance, indulgence, complacency, pride, attention to the extraneous, self-display, self-glorification, competitiveness, forcefulness, making trouble, forming grudges, becoming commanders of armies, and becoming leaders of rebellions. When small people do these things, they personally suffer great calamities. When great people do these things, their countries perish. At best, it affects the individual. In worst cases, it affects generations to come. No crime is greater than lacking the way. No bitterness is deeper than lacking virtue. Such is the way of nature.